How much does it actually cost to live in Guelph, Ontario? Is it still affordable? If that's one of the questions you have on your mind, then definitely stick around because right here in this video, I'm going to break it down for you, all the expenses that you need to factor in order to help you budget yourself before you make a call to move to Guelph, Ontario. We're going to look at every cost such as housing, whether you own or rent a place, entertainment, groceries, shopping, dining, all those things that make up a perfect household budget. You will have a clear idea before you make a call to move to Guelph, Ontario. So stay tuned, and if you do stick around until the end of this video, I'll also share with you some great tools that I personally use in order to help myself and my family budget for our household expenses, so you can use it at your disposal. So stay tuned, let's get right into it. And just before we dive right in, if this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in and around Kitchener-Waterloo, then be sure to subscribe and tap on the bell for notification so you are the first to learn about the current market in and around Kitchener-Waterloo. My name is Dixit. I'm a local real estate agent serving Kitchener-Waterloo, Cambridge, Guelph, and surrounding towns. I've helped many families with their move in and around Kitchener-Waterloo, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're thinking of moving in 9 days or 9 months, be sure to reach out. You can give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or you can even schedule a Zoom call. All the info you'll find right below in the description. I'll be more than happy to help you and your family make a smooth move in and around Kitchener-Waterloo. Right, so let's talk about the housing first, as that's the number one and the biggest component of any household budget. So let's say if you were to rent a place in Guelph, Ontario. According to a rent research website called Zumper.com, I've included the link below so you can dive in a little bit further if you want to. But as per their website, an average rent in Guelph for a one-bedroom apartment is somewhere close to $2,000 a month. If you were to look at two-bedroom apartment, that's going to be somewhere close to $2,250. And of course, a three-bedroom will be higher than that. But if I had to talk about the townhomes in good neighborhoods of Guelph, and if you plan on renting something like a townhome, which gives you some front yard and the backyard space, well, you are looking at close to and upwards of $3,000 a month in terms of your monthly rent, which is pretty crazy, but that's what it is. Now, if I were to talk about owning a place, of course, this can be very subjective depending on how much down payment you have, what's the purchase price, all those things. However, for the sake of this example, we will take an average price point of a townhome in Guelph as per the Q1 2024 data that's published by the Canadian Real Estate Association. So an average price point for a townhome in Guelph, Ontario was $750,000. So let's say that you got that average price home in Guelph, Ontario for $750,000, and assuming that you paid 20% down, that'll leave you with the net mortgage of $600,000. And again, the interest rates do vary, but for the sake of this example, they're kind of, if I were to look at 3-year fix, it's hovering somewhere around 5%. So if I were to look at $600,000 mortgage at 5% over 30 years amortization, you're looking at somewhere around $3,200 in your monthly mortgage payment if you were to own a place in Guelph, Ontario. Now, when you own a place, there is some additional cost that comes with it, such as property taxes is one. Average, I would say, for the sake of this example, a townhome average property tax would be somewhere around $250 to $300 a month. But depending on the lot size and the overall build out, if you're especially owning a detached home, it could go well over $500 a month as well. But the key is any listing or any home that you plan on buying, you will have that information right up front in your hand, so you can always budget yourself accordingly. But the property taxes, just keep that in your factor and consideration as well. And of course, if it is a condominium, townhome, or a condo apartment, just know that there will be additional condo fees which you have to factor in as well. Now, besides that, nonetheless, you rent or own, of course, we do have utilities cost that comes with either renting or owning. Some of the common utilities, or the most common ones you will be paying, are heat, hydro, water, hot water tank, and of course the internet. Now, let's talk about heat and hydro. I would say, if you're a family of 4, let's say 2 adults, 2 kids, that's the average family size. You're looking about $100 a month for heat and hydro. Here's what I'll tell you. During the summer months, when the days are hot and humid outside, obviously you'll be running more air conditioning inside the house. So you will see more hydro bill than that of the gas bill. But during winter months, because you want to stay warm and cozy, obviously you will running the furnace more often and more frequent. So your heat, which is the natural gas bill, will be higher than that of your hydro bill. But if I were to average these two out, I would say budget yourself for about $100 to $125 a month for both heat and hydro each. Okay, and talking about the water, if you were to talk to city, they say the average consumption for any occupant in the house for water, they say the average monthly is around $30 a month per person. So if you're a family of 4, even if you got kids, just know that everyone will be consuming water, everyone will be using washrooms, taking showers, all those things, no matter they are adults or kids alike. So average $30 per person for a family of 4, you're looking at about 120, 130. Now obviously the usage and how consciously you use these utilities will obviously determine your average budget and average amount to factor in for some of these utilities, but these are the very median averages to factor in. Internet, of course, it won't be changing unless you're moving from outside of Ontario. But let's say if you're moving from Toronto to Guelph, well, what you can do, the best thing you can do is actually transfer your service from that internet provider, whether it's Rogers or Bell, to a new place in Guelph. So your internet cost may not change just because you move to Guelph, but yes, do obviously factor in your monthly budget. So like I said, heat, hydro, water. Oh yeah, the hot water tank. How much does that cost? That's an average, you can say $30 to $40 a month. If you're paying higher than that, I would say you might want to call the service provider and try to negotiate a bit, but that's the average I've seen. I have a rental property in Kitchener, and we just got a new water heater installed there from Kitchener Utilities, and we are paying on an average about $30, including taxes, for the water heater rental in that unit. So like I said, somewhere around 30 to 40 is what to factor in for hot water tank if that's not owned. So that's the average breakdown for the utilities cost while living in Guelph, Ontario, whether you rent or you own the place in Guelph. Now that you moved in, let's talk about the cost of getting you around the town. Now, obviously, there are a couple of ways to do that. One is to take public transit using either a GO if you have to go outside of the city. And of course, there is Guelph Transit, whereby you can purchase a ticket or a monthly pass, the information of which is available on their website, which I'll be sure to include the link below in case you want to check it out. But it's, for the suburbs, it's gonna be somewhere around $3.25 per ticket per ride if you were to, pay per ticket. And of course, the monthly pass is available at a rather subsidized rate as well. But now if you'd rather own a car, well, of course, I'll give you some average insurance cost for Guelph, Ontario. But just keep in mind that depending on your driving record, your age, your past convictions, number of tickets you got, hopefully you did not any. But depending on all those things, the insurance cost could vary significantly for you than it could be for someone else. So just keep that in mind. But if I were to give you absolute average for an insurance like auto insurance in Guelph, Ontario, as per the website called Rates.ca, that average for 2023 was around $1,400 per month. Now, obviously, these are averages. The best way for you is to call the insurance company, give them your new address, and get a quote. And I would say, obviously, shop around so you can get the best quote and the best coverage at a reasonable price. But that's the average, $1,400. Now, of course, your car payments, such as your monthly car payment if you have a loan, or your gas bills, for monthly gas consumption for the car, that's not going to vary significantly. And yes, obviously factor in if you are planning to commute, let's say from Guelph to Greater Toronto area or Toronto itself by driving, whether it is for work or some other form of commute, then do factor in that additional cost that will come once you move into Guelph. And now that you're having to commute back to, let's say, Toronto, there is additional cost to gas and of course the depreciation on the car, but at least factor in the gas price and the cost to that, because obviously they have gotten more expensive nowadays. So it'll be a good idea to actually factor that in your monthly budget when you're pricing in the cost of getting you around the town, which is cost of transportation. Now let's talk about the cost of groceries and dining while living in Guelph, Ontario. Basically the cost of food. We'll first talk about the groceries. So when you're living in Guelph, you have an option to either shop at discount grocers Fresco, No Frills, Food Basics, place like that. And then you have an option to go at a more specialized grocers such as Loblaws, Zehrs, Metro, Longos, places like that. So obviously, as you know, the prices of goods and groceries that you buy between these two places are, sometimes vary quite significantly. But I'll give an average for a family of 4, and that's what we are spending on an average. Of course, depending on what you buy. As we know, fruits and vegetables cost much less than a lot of meat. So depending on what you buy, obviously your budget could vary quite a bit. But if I were to take an average for our family, we're spending somewhere around $400 to $600 a month in terms of groceries. Now, don't factor in the cost of shopping in that monthly grocery, because yes, that would be an additional cost. But the one tip I can give you is, to pay attention to your credit card bill for, let's say, last 6 months, okay? And especially if you're paying, for your groceries by your credit card, just take a look at it, and that'll give you a good idea as to how much you guys on an average spend on the groceries. What I can tell you, just because you moved from, let's say, some Toronto suburb or somewhere else to Guelph is still a suburban town not too far away from Toronto. So the cost of bag of milk, a can of beer, or a box of cereal, they're not going to change materially for you, because it's still a suburban town where pretty much everything in terms of groceries is just as accessible. So the cost of grocery will not change any significantly from where you're living right now. So if I were to talk about dining out, well, again, you have a few options. One is to grab a quick bite at a local takeout restaurant, such as shawarma or burrito or something like that, grabbing a quick sandwich. Well, that's going to cost you about $15 to $20 per person at the most if you were to get like a combo at a local restaurant, like a franchise restaurant. Now, compared to that, then you have some local pubs and bars where you can hang out, grab a quick, beer or a drink, appetizer, and have an entree as well. That you're looking at about $50 per person at the most. Of course, if you drink a lot while you're being outside, well, that's going to add up. But average would be about $50 per person. And then you have high-end restaurants, which are highly specialized. And of course, they do serve a lot of great food, but at the same time, some, let's say, specialized wine. So those things will cost you, like, a dinner at a steakhouse. I'm vegetarian, but what I can see from what I read and hear from my friends and family who are non-vegetarians, at a steakhouse, they spend on an average $100 to $150 per person, at a fine dining restaurant. So that's what you can budget yourself. But again, a tip for that would be to go back into your bank statement, see how much you on an average spend dining out per month. And sometimes it might be an eye-opener for you as to how much you actually spend eating outside. I mean, that was for me many times, not that I've changed much. But coming back to my point, pay attention to your credit card bill or debit card bill, depending on how you pay. And that'll give you a good idea as to how much you actually spend on dining out. And you can just put that number when you're budgeting yourself for the dining cost. And finally, let's talk about the cost of entertainment. After all, we all like to have some fun, and let's talk about how much it will actually cost you. So first things first, it can cost you virtually nothing if you were to live in Guelph, because you are surrounded by so much of green space and abundance of nature. So if you are into hiking and biking and some of this outdoor nature stuff, well, it will virtually not cost you anything, because you can just hang out every weekend pretty much and not having to pay anything, because all these parks and playgrounds are accessible to public free of cost. And then you have options in terms of paid entertainment, things like, the movie night will cost you about $50 per person, say, grab a quick bite after the movie. But then you have some, other entertainment options, like if you've got kids, there are some indoor playgrounds. And at the same time, then you can do some very specialized, unique adventures in and around Guelph, Ontario. You could even head to places like, Kitchener-Waterloo or Hamilton on the other side, all the way to Niagara. So depending on what you do in terms of entertainment and what excites you and your family, that will really determine the cost for you. But that could vary significantly between a person to person and a family to family. The cost of entertainment, it's hard to put a price tag or a number to it, because like I said, it's very, very subjective. Depending on what you do, you can spend as much as like $500 per person per month, and then you can spend as little as $100 per person per month. So depending on your household income, your lifestyle, all those things will determine how much you actually spend on recreation and entertainment. And again, that will not change significantly, because what you do and the options might change between the towns. But in terms of your overall budget for entertainment and recreation, may not change quite significantly just because you moved to Guelph, Ontario. So I would budget as the same as what I'm spending right now for some of those costs, and that should determine. I'll leave this open for you guys to determine that particular number when it comes to recreation and entertainment. And lastly, as I promised at the beginning of this video, I do owe this to you guys, but some of the tools that I do personally use, one of them are RBC mortgage payment calculator. So whenever you're on the process of buying a home, you want to know exactly how much it'll cost you based on your down payment and your purchase price, all those things, and you don't want to rely solely on your real estate professional or a mortgage professional. I mean, all these tools are pretty much handy these days, so you can actually punch in the numbers about your actual mortgage and the rate that you're getting from the bank, and that will actually give you the monthly payment you will be making for that mortgage before you make a decision. The other tool I use is the loan payment calculator. Again, it's available pretty much from every bank and majority of the financial institutions' website. What you can do is pull it up, know exactly, let's say if you're in the process of buying a loan or drawing a line of credit for some renovation, something like that. Anytime you're making such a big financial decision in terms of borrowing money, you could punch in the numbers in one of those calculators, know exactly what's the cost of borrowing is and how much it will add to your monthly cost. So that's another tool I always use before committing to any raising additional debt, whether, like I said, it could be for multiple reasons for different people. But and at the same time, all these financial institutions at the bank, I personally like the RBC tools better, just that I'm used to it. Not that they are much different from some of the other companies, but if you're already using something like that, like a budgeting tool, stick to that. But RBC has a budgeting tool that I use that helped me kind of keep track of my spending. And of course, we don't go in every month in there to see exactly how we spend, but it's more so like whenever you're making a significant change to your lifestyle, I think it's a good idea to go back and revisit your budget one more time to see how much significantly or materially it is making a difference, whether it's increase of income or increase of expenses. Both sides, you can take a look and see how much difference it is making to your monthly budget whenever you are making a significant change to your lifestyle. Now, I hope you did get some value out of this video, and like I said, I'll be sure to include the link to the description for all the tools that I personally use, so you can use it at your disposal and find out how much it will cost you if you were to make a call to move to Guelph, Ontario. But nonetheless, if you got some value, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and tap on the bell for notifications so you are the first to learn about the current market in and around Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, and Guelph. Once again, whether you're thinking of moving in 9 days or 9 months, be sure to reach out. All the info you will find right below in the description. I'm more than happy to help you and your family make a smooth move in and around Kitchener, Waterloo. Until next time, well, I do hope to see you around town.